Welcome to our Batman Fancast.
No.
We're not.
Internet.
Now it says live.
Hey, look, it's us.
There we go. All right.
I'm here right now.
Ready? Welcome to the Disney Reporter. I'm Mr. DAPS.
I'm Katie.
Star Wars.
That is true. Cameron is Star Wars. You're only one Star
Just
Wars.
one.
Just one.
Single
we
unit.
have just finished watching Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Literally, about a half an hour ago? Enough time for us to freak out a little bit.
I've only vomited twice.
Yes, and
In a good way.
And make our way back to the studio, and we are giving you a very spoiler field
Activate!
Yes. Spoiler-filled review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. We will flat out admit we haven't had a lot of time to think about this, so it will be a kind of first instincts
like
reaction,
jazz.
right? So let's start with your first thought of what did you think of the movie overall? Ladies first.
I really liked it. I don't know what else you want me to say.
What did you think? You liked it?
No, that's it. You said overall.
Okay.
That's my overall feel of the movie.
We'll go with it.
Said I really liked it.
I also enjoyed it. I think that it made some of the best decisions ever made in a Star Wars film. And I also think it made a couple of the worst decisions ever made in a Star Wars film.
I am looking forward to digging into that deeper. So we will dig into that right now, I guess, huh?
Yes.
Best decisions. Let's go with that first.
Ooh. There are several. Katie?
I don't know.
Don't have one ready?
That's your opinion.
Go.
Yeah,
now.
We've been waiting to hear
That's
this since we
your
walked out of the
opinion.
theater. Like,
That's
best
your
decisions and worst decisions.
I think the best choice made in the film was filling out Leia's middle backstory for her Jedi training.
True.
I think that was the best possible route they could have taken with Carrie Fisher's untimely passing to give her meaning in a very deep and spiritually Jedi-connected way without taking away anything that I think she would have been relegated to choose herself.
I actually agree with you on that. I also liked how they wrapped up the entire 42-year story with a nice little bow. You probably didn't like this, actually, now that I'm thinking about the last scene.
Yeah, they could have done it in half the time and it would have been twice as effective.
Yeah.
I agree. It could have been you didn't need the whole thing, but...
Right. They were hyper aware of what they were doing, and when you take that much time to acknowledge something on screen, you can see J.J. Abrams going, hey.
Do you think it's partially that, partially having a hard time letting go?
Oh, yeah. And not to mention, anyone who would be editing it is going to be a fan. All the directors on it that were filming it are going to be fans.
That's a hard thing to cut down.
I was going to say, the other thing, to be fair, is if you build a set for Tatooine, I feel like they want to use it.
Yeah. Well, do you think that was the one that's just out there from the prequels still?
No, that one's buried.
Like buried?
Yeah, I've heard that too. So
because they left it because they didn't have any money to break it down. Yep, they just left it, and it's buried in sand now.
And this one was in Jordan, and the other one was in a war zone.
You know, I hate sand.
It's rough.
All right.
Gets everywhere.
So let's go through character choices first. Obviously, the big character choice, and if you don't know this yet, we're hitting spoilers, and we're about to hit it hard.
Boy, just Tatooine.
Well, you know.
Continue.
What was the last scene?
Palpatine.
Gregory Palpatine.
Yes.
Sir.
I thought his middle name was Harold. Is that true?
Sir Gregory Harold Palpatine.
I don't know.
Confirmed.
The first.
Yes.
First
Anyway, Palpatine, Sith, all of that stuff. What did you think of this storyline and the return of Palpatine?
Turning to the person who has the least familiarity with Star Wars is a great idea. I don't know. Because to be fair, I just watched the prequels for the first time like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like, I've watched all 6 Star Wars movies for the first time like 4 years ago. So I don't have a lot of time to sit on this. So to me, it feels very, not like sudden, but it feels very like recent. Like it feels like, wait, he was just here. Now he's back. Like we're doing this again. It was great though. I was thoroughly creeped out. I'm going to have Palpatine related nightmares tonight. I hated that he had like White Walker contacts.
Yeah, that was weird.
Hated that. Hated that extremely. Hated it more when he got Force Life, and that was worse. But I hated that he was a giant animatronic puppet. Creepy. Like, hated it in a good way. Yeah.
So what I love about your perspective on this, though, is because you didn't have, like, how you said you saw the first one from the gold box.
Yeah, so
That's what, 94?
yeah, I've been watching Star Wars for probably 25 years
Longer
at
than
this
I've been
point.
alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm mid-80s. Like, when I was a kid, that's when we started. And what's great about this is you kind of got to just go straight through.
Mm-hmm.
And we will never have that experience, and we're always going to have the preconceived weight and notions of what we knew to be true from the original prequel, or trilogy before the prequels, and then we've built onto that in extended universe and all this jazz. But I like that you get the opportunity to not have to like have, how long was it, 85 for Return of the Jedi?
Yes. I'm
like-
going to say yes.
So like
2003.
85, and you say what?
I said in the prequels were like 2003.
Yeah, but you didn't have to wait for decades, literally, for a reveal like this.
Yeah, I watched my first Star Wars movie in 2015.
Yeah.
So
So this is
Year
perfect.
of our Lord.
What did you think of Palpatine?
So the correct choice also gives me the most fear for the future of Star Wars, which is they at no time explained how Palpatine survived.
That's true.
That is a good choice when you want
That's
to
a
build
very
lore.
Star Wars
Yeah,
choice too.
it's just, and I'm sure the complaint is going to be that that's a leap of logic. I'm like, yeah, it is, but that's the point.
At least they didn't use midi-chlorians.
Yeah, my fear is going to be that somewhere down the line, a Star Wars prophet will come into mind of how did Palpatine survive, and I don't want to see that.
it's gonna be Sherlock season 2 all over again.
But they've already done that, so I hope they know. I agree with Cameron completely. Like,
I will also say the animatronic Palpatine mode.
B mode Palpatine, if you will.
I'm going to call this right now. J.J. Abrams has played a little game called Portal, because that is a ripoff, like straight up. That is a ripoff from the video game Portal. He made Palpatine into GLaDOS, and it was the only thing I could think of when he was on the screen. Also, the only thing I could think of while he was on the screen, and I think it's implied, and I don't know if it's true or not because they'll never actually reveal it, but until he stole the life force and was standing on his own, they showed him in the robe with the hands. I want to imagine there's nothing under there. Like,
Yeah.
it's just a robe, right? It has to be.
Yeah.
And if they shook it a little faster, like, you'd have the woo of the robe.
Yeah.
Like a scary ghost robe.
Ooh.
I think one of my favorite parts of Palpatine was actually his demise, because he died the same way he got disfigured. Like,
Yes.
it was like repeat of totally spaced his name, Jackson.
Mace
Windu?
Mace Windu, thank you. And but he died the same way he got disfigured fighting Mace Windu when he killed Mace Windu, and I love that they did that. Like, I thought that was such a great choice for him, because he really killed himself.
Exactly.
And that was brilliant. Let's go.
That's still not the best choice in the movie, though, in my mind. All of that. We were discussing best choices before.
Okay, go ahead.
Best choice in the movie is Rey Force Lightning the ship.
Oh, that was
That is,
good.
Oh, yeah.
that is the best choice in the
That
movie.
was a fantastic
That was
reveal.
really good.
Because one, she stops the ship, which is cool, and we were in a very tight theater watching this, and you kind of hear the like yeah, that's good. And then for it to be led to her using a very Sith power in the moment accidentally, it was like that's really cool. That's interesting storytelling
And terrifying.
and the real trauma of her thinking she killed Chewbacca, which, from an economist standpoint, I think everybody in the audience knew that Chewbacca was not dead.
Oh yeah.
Because
It wasn't
it's a masked character, and you
Yeah.
don't kill masked characters because they're profitable. but in the moment for the character, it was a great choice.
Well, that and the way he would have died didn't have enough. Like, the way it was shot, the scene was shot, there wouldn't have been enough emotion, period.
Right.
Like, they didn't set it up for him to die. In fact, that would be if I had a critique of any of the scenes in the whole movie. That was actually the one that I was like, yeah, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I liked it because of the Force lightning, but I didn't buy that Chewie died. Like,
But
it was...
that is very Abrams, though. I mean, if you look at, which is the Avengers that he did?
He didn't.
No, not the Avengers. The
Star Trek?
It was Star Trek. Abrams is all about killing people unexpectedly in
Yeah.
the second act.
Yeah.
And I think killing off screen would have been, like, I don't think Kennedy would have ever allowed that.
Yeah.
But I think Abrams, if he'd been given full reign, would have made a choice like that.
And that wouldn't have been a bad thing necessarily. They also obviously explored the relationships between multiple characters in this movie, and the lessons of friendship or whatever. But the one that everybody was talking about,
like My Little Pony for a second there.
Friendship
yeah,
is
exactly.
magic.
Can you sing the song too?
No.
My little Vader, my little Vader.
Let's
Keep
talk
us down
about
inside of my house.
Rey and Ben, Kylo Ren.
Swallow.
How did you feel about the progression of that relationship?
I loved it until the end.
Yeah. That was the worst choice of
That was
the film.
that was literally garbage choice. Boo, bad choice.
Everything
Boo.
about that was a great build. And the reason it was a great build...
Did
is
anybody else think Beating the Beast at that moment? Just
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I can see that. But
like there was a little bit.
But the problem with it, even in Beauty and the Beast, there was a romantic relationship
Yes.
built up into that point. There was awkward physical tension between them, but it was in no way romantic. Or sexual in any way. Like it was strained, and to push that to
It was a power tension.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, and to push that to, I admittedly think appease the fans and put that in there. That was a rough choice. That was
It was weird.
I was angry. I was upset. Literally, we're gonna let Reylo happen. Really, in the last, like again, spoilers if you've made it this far. Like literally, kisses and then is like, "But I was a Force ghost the whole time." The dumb, bad. Did not like that. Like he could have just saved her and returned the favor of when she stabbed him and then healed him. He could have just been like, "Hey, you're healed. I'm dead. Bye." Like. No, he had to.
what I was fully
They
expecting
had to
in that
kiss.
moment. Yep,
And the tension leading up to it was like 20 seconds of them just looking at each other's lips.
and you knew it was coming.
And the whole time I was like, no.
But
no.
you know what? It did George Lucas
Bad.
proud because it was, or it's going to go down as the sand moment of
Yeah.
this film. And as much as it was not something I enjoyed, and I thought it was, I did like the connection between him and Leia in that moment, but the rest wasn't necessary. But you do have to kind of go, well, George Lucas probably could have done something like that too.
Yeah. I was honestly really hoping in all that tense moment, because it was a life force transfer, and that's the thing that I said.
Yeah.
I wanted his cut to open back up, and I wanted him to die
see,
because of that.
that would have been
I think
cool.
that would have been because then he would have been doing a sacrifice thing.
Yeah.
It would not just
Like Tangled.
Yeah, like Tangled.
Like 2011
Ray
Tangled.
is Flynn Rider in this case.
And there was also a moment, and I believe Jenny said it, where we had this idea of, wait, are they just going to keep transferring life back and forth to each other?
Your turn. Tag.
I think it's White Elephant gift rules. Like
Okay.
You can only do it
three
so many
times.
times.
Yeah, only 3 times. Can't
Yeah.
transfer it immediately back after it's
Yeah,
taken.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
How about Finn, Poe, secondary characters, choices there?
I feel like Poe's character, some people are going to argue with what I'm about to say, and that's fine. You're wrong.
Okay.
That's my
His
line.
character in this film made a lot more sense about who he was in The Last Jedi. I think that people think that his character choice in The Last Jedi didn't make sense. I think it's more that he just wasn't fleshed out enough in The Force Awakens.
I agree, though.
Well, he was supposed to die in The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think that there was a huge logic jump from people saying there's only so much time between the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi, and Poe becomes this entirely different person. But seeing Rise of Skywalker, he is very much the same person, and also getting to see a bit of his background, it makes sense of why he's this brass, angry, does his own thing type of person. I also really like that Finn was Force sensitive.
Yes.
Yep. Which they implied for, I think, at the end, that was what Abrams benefited from The Last Jedi, with the implication at the end of Force sensitivity not being limited to one who is pursuing Jedi-ness, that the Force belongs to a lot of people, which explains why Oga can be the way she is. It explains why... is that what did I say?
You said Oga.
That's Oga.
That's Batu, sorry.
Yes.
Maz, thank you for understanding what I meant.
I knew what you meant. I translated.
And a few of the other characters that have had semi-Force abilities, but haven't really... Because there's been that definitive line. And I think that goes back to also Donnie Yen's character in Solo. It really allows the universe to be expanded more than your magic Jedi who can force things.
Rogue One.
Rogue One? Thank you for
Rogue
translating
One.
again.
But we're also starting to see some of that stuff in... I feel like we're going to see a lot of that stuff in The Mandalorian also. They've hinted at it, I feel like, and we'll probably see a whole lot more.
Baby Yoda.
Right, and there was that connection as well.
Which was another good choice in this movie, which was my fear of them releasing The Mandalorian episode early, was to reestablish the connections, because the thing I didn't want to see more than anything else were any of the characters from Mandalorian in this film.
Agreed.
Because
there's no need.
It would have ruined the rest of the Mandalorian.
I mean, we might discover at some time the ship or something's in the background.
Right,
of the
yeah, and that would be nice.
And I'd be okay with that. But
I'm disappointed there was no calamari flaw in this movie.
But like if we had seen like Not So Baby Yoda or Pedro Pascal's character here,
is that Yoda? Nah,
that's the Baby Yoda one.
Well, maybe we did see it. No, we didn't.
But that's old.
You would recognize him, but there haven't been many products made for him yet.
So can't.
So
he's just got his turtleneck. He's like...
he's grown, but he's wearing the same size outfit.
Same turtleneck.
It is now a skirt.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm expecting one of your favorite parts is how they treated the Lando character.
Lando.
How did you feel like they did with him?
It was a nice callback in his introduction to his role in 6, with him being masked. And I love that everyone in our row kind of went, Lando. Just as soon as a masked figure showed up after shooting someone.
It had to be. Yeah.
Like, ha!
Yeah.
And, I mean, if I had to critique it, they pulled the classic trope of, now my pilot days are over, but I'm going to show up later in Act 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was very...
It was a lead, and it was like, you're going to do it.
Yeah, we know.
But just the whole last act of the film of him just laughing and doing stuff was very pleasing. Just, he just, like, that was his entire character for the last 15 minutes of the film was, I'm the pilot.
I also love that Lando got to have the callback of, none of us were ready.
I'm betting that was a Leia line.
I think it was too.
I think it was too. Yeah.
But in some ways, it was almost more gratifying to have it be Lando, just because Leia has the wisdom, and in the original trilogy in particular, like, she always was a leader, and Lando was more of the, like, he actually did step up to be that leader when nobody really expected him to be. Like, he was just trying to get by before with not get in trouble and lead by safety or whatever. And
I will say about Leia, I was very glad. This is gonna sound so bad. I'm very sorry for what I'm gonna say. I'm glad that she died.
Yeah, that's the right choice.
Because literally, and I think I said this a year or two ago when they announced they were going to be using old footage from The Force Awakens. I spent the entire film being like, where was this going to be in The Force Awakens? Every footage, because I recognized the outfit from The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And so every time she was on screen, it was a game of where was this going to be in The Force Awakens? And I was worried that she was going to have a very large part in the film, and they were going to develop this whole storyline. And I think that Leia dying was a very, very good choice.
and the way they did it.
The way they did it was incredible.
That was the only part of the film So I feel like the first third of the film was rushed, but after that, the
Yes.
pace really found itself. I think that was the only part after the initial part that was too rushed. I think that could have been given more air, because she did die in a poignant moment, but I feel like that could have been given more weight. And maybe it was limitation of the film that they had to do it that way, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and it's hard to speculate anything with her because you just don't know what they were working. I mean, what JJ pulled off with her, I thought was
incredible,
almost miraculous.
To the point where when they were showing the flashback of her doing her Jedi training with Luke and Leia, even though that was the most uncanny valley facing I've ever seen,
it was bad.
It didn't bother me because it was the right storytelling choice.
Yep.
Whereas when we had that with the end of Rogue One with Leia and also with Grand Moff,
that was harder.
Those were harder
Grand Moff
because
was hard.
those choices weren't necessary,
Yep.
and because these choices were very good choices, you can allow a lot.
Totally.
Totally allow a lot, but yeah.
Completely agreed. C-3PO.
Man, he played a bigger role.
Disappointed he didn't die.
Were you really? I thought they handled him well.
I really like what they did. I think that I was very much expecting to lose.
We were all
3PO.
bracing ourselves.
And there was that fake out moment of he translated it, and then he dies.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
And then him coming back.
It was very charming.
It was very good. I also love that he said in the beginning of the film that R2 could never back up his memory.
He totally did.
Because
Yeah.
R2
He's too erratic.
droids are they're too unreliable.
Or unreliable, yeah.
And then R2, the second C-3PO's back, he's like, "Get over here, you dummy."
The most reliable droid in the galaxy.
Yeah. And I love that R2. Honestly, if they had killed 3PO, I would prefer them to also kill R2. Because I feel like it would all be cruel to have one without the other.
Yeah.
So I very much like that they both survived at the end of the trilogy.
And speaking of droids, it leads me to my biggest surprise in this movie.
Dio.
I didn't think I was going to like Dio.
I
Same.
agree.
And
Yeah.
I have never identified with a character in a film more than Dio.
No, thank you.
I loved him.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
It was
Thank you.
Well, as soon as he started speaking, and literally the first three words were, the first word was, I think, hello.
Yeah.
And I said, no, bad choice, real bad choice. Don't make the droid talk bad. And then his next words were, no, thank you. And I'm like, great choice. No, solid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Completely agree.
When I saw all the toys and merchandise come out for Force Friday, I was like, the design is dumb. I think the droid is dumb. Because I'm very attached to droids. I'm being very honest. I'm very attached to droids, and I just thought it was very silly. And so they bring him on screen, and I truly thought that Dio was just a sell toys thing.
Like BB-98.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I was like, this is a ploy to sell toys, and they're putting him in the movie so that there is validation for the kids who have this toy. And then no thank you. And then turned into a puppy who ran around in circles when someone loved him.
Yeah.
I loved that.
And he was important for reflection, but that's the thing. He
It
was
was
a necessary character.
He was.
Not just for the Deus Ex droid of knowing where to go do a thing, but just for the fact that he was a mirror akin to the rest of the characters as far as how they treated things. His interaction with Finn was fantastic.
Yeah.
Necessary characters are good.
Yeah, I agree.
Unnecessary characters.
Unfortunately, Rose Tico.
So here's the thing. Here at Geeks Corner, we love
She
Rose
is one of
Tico.
our
We
favorites.
stand Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah, Kelly Marie Tran is an angel.
Yes.
They should have given her more.
Yeah,
So much
they
more.
played it incredibly safe with her character. She truly was just
Do
there.
you think she asked for that?
No.
No.
Okay.
I really think that her character was basically there to validate other people's decisions.
Yeah, and I think that is the buckling of the weight of the fans.
Yes.
That was rough. She is a much better asset to the Star Wars universe, and is the only character from all of this that I hope to see in other projects.
I agree.
I
Well,
would
and
love-
she's the one that has room to explore.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because she was so underdeveloped, especially in this film, I could, what happens after the Empire falls, wouldn't it be amazing to see a former engineer rebuilding part of the New Republic? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, totally could. Because her story still has room for more storytelling, Whereas I feel like all of the other quote-unquote principles, the story has been closed. Like, you don't need more Finn, you don't need more Poe, you don't need more Rey. Like, you could, but you don't need it. Like, they did a nice job saying this is the end. Whereas I felt like with her, it's like, no, I could see more. Like, her story's not closed. And they could go a long way with that. You're going to add something?
The Rey Palpatine scene at the end.
Ray Palpatine.
Rey Palpatine, actually.
Yep.
The Rose Tico quote, that's how we win this dummy, not by fighting what we hate, but saving what we love. That was literally that entire scene.
Yep.
Because you have this whole notion of Rey is going to kill Palpatine, and that's going to be it. And then you have the realization, as cheesy as it sounds, that is not the Jedi way. The Jedi way is you let them kill themselves. And truly, it was because she loved her friends and what she has created so much. And then that Jedi scene was amazing. But yeah, I felt like that Rose Tico quote of wisdom from The Last Jedi was incredibly important to the film. And I just wish that we saw more of her.
And to the Jedi Order in general.
Yeah.
Like, that's really the definition of the Jedi Order.
Like, sum it up in a sentence. That's it.
Rose gets it.
Yeah.
Maybe Rose should become a Jedi. She just doesn't know it yet. They've shown no force anything for her, but, you know, it would be interesting. Trying to think what else we haven't hit. There was the massive fleet on both sides.
Yep. That actually leads to something that I really took away good from this, which is the fleet revelation, the scenes we saw in the previous, even the Mandalorian scene that came out earlier today that I buckled and watched.
Oh, I didn't.
I did.
Everything, I would say 80% of what we saw before this film happened within the first 15 minutes, and the other 20% happened by the midpoint. Like, we didn't really see
I was going to say, the only
things.
other thing was the
fight on...
the fleet shot.
Yeah.
The arrival.
The resistance. That was the only thing.
Yep.
Yeah, from the end. Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate that. That's good.
We haven't talked about Domhnall Gleeson.
Oh, I loved that.
Tyler Epperson? You traitor?
It was the best. That was the best delivered line in the... I'm the spy! Yeah, we know!
Once again, you have the witty yet dumb lines.
Yeah. It was perfect delivery because he just shot them, and you know he just shot them.
Yeah.
It was the perfect setup because, like, there was that... In the same way there was the bad tension later before the kiss, there was the good tension of, like, Hux is the spy. We know it. It's going to happen. He's going to shoot him right now.
Say, the second he went, I'll do it.
Yeah.
We all went,
And then, by the way, I'm the one that's actually been doing all of the things, but like, yes.
And then he stays. Like, that was dumb.
He stays?
on the ship.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I mean, like...
Well, they didn't flesh that out enough for my liking. They say Kylo Ren has to fail. That has a lot of weight to it, and the first layer, of course, is he just doesn't want Kylo Ren in power. He wants to be in power.
Yeah.
But it's also implicative that maybe he really is he's fully Severus Snaped on the thing.
It'll be interesting to read the book.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's going to be fleshed out more.
I was going to say, because you can also take that statement as he wants Ben to succeed and Kylo Ren to fail.
Yeah, I doubt it's that deep.
I don't think that it's
Hey,
either.
I'm gonna make
thing
that leap.
Dislike a little bit about that, now that I'm thinking of it more, is they kind of had that storyline already in Rebels. And
I haven't watched it. I'm in the middle of watching Clone Wars and Rebels right now, so don't yell at me, please.
That's okay. But I think they kind of already did that, and so it's kind of like, huh, okay. And they did pull from the cartoons a lot, which surprised me. Like, there was a lot of connections in there that I didn't expect that I thought were good choices as well. You were going to add?
Right in the beginning when they were implying the spy, I was wondering if they were going to pull Vi from Batuu.
I was hoping,
that would have been cool.
Like straight up just Vi in like an officer's uniform walks
Sure.
by, and that would have been like, ha!
I see what you did there.
But I like the choice, and I also really like the choice to point blank shoot him immediately after that, because that was real. That's what would happen.
Yeah, no, and then like him coming in and he's like, they got away somehow. He's the spy.
Yeah.
Like, clearly he's the spy.
Yep, and it further established him the what did they refer to him as, Fleet Admiral or something?
It was something, yeah.
Yeah, but it further established him as actually a good secondary leader, like Tarkin.
He was solid.
Yeah, that was
He was a
great.
good villain.
And a really cool death. When
Yeah.
he blew up and he got launched out of the
Blown
window.
out
first.
the
That was
window.
amazing.
That was one of the couple. There were a couple of moments in there as far as like gruesomeness that I was like, "Whoa,
I agree.
You made that choice."
That surprised me. That yeah, I agree with that as well. Let's talk about the music.
Who did it?
That jazz pianist, right? The jazz pianist
Johnny
Williams, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. What'd you think about it?
I really liked it. I really liked the callbacks. Obviously, there was some Imperial March, because obviously there's also some of Princess theme. I love Rey's theme. I think that Rey's theme is the best theme of the new trilogy. I'm not going to say the best theme of all time. But Rey's theme is up there. It's incredibly strong. And I loved the ways that not only they reworked it, but they also just reorchestrated the original theme and just brought it new life and new beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It was real good.
I think the throne room use of high instrument playing the theme was
That was pulled directly from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. And as much innovation as there was on new stuff, the fact that it was straight classic when the fleet finally showed up I was like, you're not even changed. Like, that's just the
Yeah.
old one.
Well, and
That's-
you
Yeah.
could hear the lead up to it
Yeah,
too, and
yeah.
so you knew the fleet was arriving.
yeah, that was good.
And that was an excellent choice.
And I'm glad they didn't belabor that reveal. I mean, they did it musically, which was a good choice because it subconsciously, for those who aren't really paying attention to the music, tells you they're coming.
Yeah.
But the fact that it just kind of come over the ship and they're there, that was the good choice. I didn't want them to do Endgame, where it's a 5-minute scene of everybody arriving.
Yeah,
And that was my
that's
biggest
true.
fear in that. And to connect that, also my big fear was them doing something similar with the past Jedis. I had this image in my head of trepidation,
Force ghosts.
a Force ghost, an
Yeah.
army of Force
No, so
ghosts.
did
I was thinking Return of the King too.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Like-
Well, as soon as they revealed the crowd of Sith, which was a great choice.
Yep.
Wonderful.
The I immediately thought, oh no, my worst fear is them just like an army of past
Ghosts
Jedi
battling
ghosts,
each other,
ghosts
yeah.
coming in. That would have been a bad choice, but the way they did it was classy.
Yeah, I agree. Back to the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite musical moment from the whole thing? Because you got your X-wing scares out a
Yes,
couple
I did.
times, so
Yeah.
I was like, you're
They're
gonna like
singers.
that one. You're gonna like the Rey thing.
Yeah.
Probably the throne room. Honestly, I think
It
that
was a very iconic moment.
it was poignant and I mean, it wasn't subtle, but it was reserved in a nice way.
I'm trying to think of exactly where it was in the film, but there was a moment with Rey's theme, obviously, because I love Rey's theme. Might have been after all the Jedi pep talk. I don't remember, but it was very like a powerful version of Rey's theme. I was a big fan of it.
Leia's theme.
Don't do that to me.
Such a good use, though.
Oh, it
it'd
was
be
so
great.
good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Which I wouldn't have expected going into this. To be like, that's the one that's really sticking out to me, but it did stick out very well. Let's finish. Yeah, go ahead.
We didn't talk about Han Solo.
I was going to talk about ghosts, and he
Let's
kind
talk
of is
about
one of
ghosts.
He
them.
wasn't a ghost.
No, he was not.
He was
but
not a ghost.
He was a memory.
He was a ghost of a memory.
Memories.
Let's talk about. Please
Cats?
don't.
We're talking about that movie, right?
Let's talk about Han Solo real quick, and then we'll talk about Luke.
How much do they pay him?
I don't
So
know.
much money.
That's the most for 3 minutes on screen ever, probably.
But he sold it. He did a good job.
I actually thought that was better acting in that film than all of
Yeah.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah, no, he
other
killed it.
than maybe Chewie We're Home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that one was from his heart.
yeah.
Um,
No, that was a really well done scene. To be able to again talking about the mirrored scenes. To be able,
It's a direct
yeah,
parallel.
and to add the
talk about stress.
it's adding the scene. It's adding that last line, which I think was like 2 words, right?
He said, Han's famous line. I know.
I know. Yeah. But it was cute. And the fact that they could parallel it and build tension while not having anything else tense happening was really good storytelling.
Literally,
Excellent.
literally line for line, remake.
Which is not the only time it happened in the movie.
No.
Beautiful and stressful.
Yeah, of Han's death. It was real good.
Yeah.
I loved it. I just didn't have a hole, which was disappointing.
Just the pan out. He just
was
you could see
disappointing.
Kylo through him.
So that's the way I remember you, Dad.
He's like surprised.
I did
It's-
like Ben, like when he finally decided, hey, this is who I'm gonna be, and he goes to the planet, and he's got his little swagger thing going.
Yeah, but
Like, and
well, because it was so Han Solo.
It
Yeah,
that
it
walk up
was.
was great, and that was
It
the whole time I was
was.
thinking, "There's your dad."
well,
Yeah.
and like now that I'm thinking about it too, I'm like, where were you for Solo? Like,
Yeah.
that was really cool, and just the way he fought, like it was.
Well, yeah, there was so much more panache to it.
Yes.
Especially after he got the lightsaber, there were a couple of big wink at the camera moments
Yeah.
that were so Harrison Ford of like when he did like the back block
Yeah.
and it took a second and then it hit and he was just like
Yeah.
Hey.
It was so that was really fun.
And that scene specifically is, I think, the scene that the more toxic fanboys and fangirls of our fandom wanted from Luke Skywalker in 8. That's what they wanted.
Oh,
But
sure.
That would have not been the right choice. There it was the right choice.
No, because it really did build everything we got here.
Yeah.
And that's really where we should go next. Is Luke obviously is Force Ghost now. He did return as a Force Ghost, and what I loved about it is it was so far in the movie that I think most people had forgotten about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd made a comment as we were driving over that we were going to see probably that island, and
Yeah, you did.
Wow. No, we're not. I'm like, I feel like we have to.
Yeah.
And I didn't predict that that's where the TIE fighter would be destroyed and,
Right.
and she was
Right.
having her little temper tantrum. But wasn't that kind of what she was?
I don't think it was a temper tantrum.
It was a life tantrum. But
Happy life tantrum.
yes,
Happy life
it's the
tantrum.
opposite of life day. But anyway, it was her real struggle moment.
Yes.
And then Luke literally catches the lightsaber, walks out. What did you think, one, about him being able to manipulate matter now from the Force, which Yoda already has done?
Right.
And
And to an extent Obi-Wan, but
yeah. But what did you think about all of that scene and then the use of Luke as a Force ghost in this film?
I'm very sorry. I'm thinking about the Force.
and that leads to where the only critique I have for that scene is I wish he hadn't caught it.
Yeah.
If it had flown in there and it had stopped by the Force and he walked out holding it an inch in front of him.
Yeah.
That would have been a better
That would have
choice.
been, because then everything else would have been direct Force interaction, including the beautiful moment of him raising the X-wing,
That
which
was
parallels
so
amazing.
beautiful.
five.
Oh yeah.
That's the one moment where I was weeping in the theater.
Even the look on his face of like, I finally did it.
That was beautiful. That was one of the biggest parallel moments. That was just beautiful storytelling. That and the fact that he pretty much did, like, shot for shot, both what Yoda did in 8 and what Obi-Wan did in 5. There were moments like this, just same parallel.
They were very I loved it.
I just wish he hadn't caught it. That's my big.
I actually agree. I completely agree.
What was the new and surprising way the Force was used in this movie?
The healing, I think, was the big one
Healing-
that they revealed in The Mandalorian already.
But they done that before?
No,
No.
They haven't done that. That wasn't the only one. The idea that life essence could be transferred. Into
Oh yeah,
things.
that was. But that to me was kind of connected.
Yeah. The idea that there can be a duality in the Force.
That was new.
Between two non-related people. There were a couple.
I was gonna say because there was.
Well, even him catching.
You
it.
start. I was gonna say you started talking about the Force, and then I was like, wait, there was this big thing before this movie about like, oh, we used the Force in a new and surprising way, and I was like, what was it? I'm very sorry. I had a moment.
Also, moving. They really played with the physics a little bit more. And this is something that
When he grabbed the beads,
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
that was very
Yeah.
off-putting.
But-
It was crazy.
Well, it felt intrusive. Like you felt.
Yes.
that
Yeah.
it was the perfect choice for
It
that.
was.
Well, it was the next step from what they did in Last Jedi.
Also-
where it was
Now that I think about it, that was a Chekhov's gun. I didn't realize it at the time, and normally you see those coming. If you're unfamiliar, a Chekhov's gun is something they reveal in the first act that is super important later. In Chekhov's plays, it was famous. If there was a gun on the table, somebody's getting shot later. And in art, or in movies and cinematography, a Chekhov's gun is something that when you see it, that's going to be really important later. Focus on this. And they did that, but not in the way that would have made any sense, which was great.
But yeah, no, I loved the natural progression from what they did in Last Jedi, where they could just talk to each other, and we had the weird Kylo Ren.
Swallow.
Yeah. But the fact that they were actually interacting, the fact that he could see where she was by like context clues. I loved the cinematography.
Yeah, that was
the revolving.
Brilliant.
It was fantastic.
There was one they had to have done I want to see the set on it, and I hope it's in the special features, because the flash shots back and forth, they did fade when they were coming across the camera. There was one specific shot where it was when Rey was walking in front of the planet, and she walked from on the planet onto the ship, and the wall literally came in, and it had to have been practical. Like, there's no way they could have faked that.
It was very well done, and incredibly interesting.
So good.
How many times do you want to see this show?
I want to see it another time in theaters.
I agree with that.
I want to see it in a Dolby theater, like the really good sound and the really high.
Yeah.
I don't think I will want to watch it as much as The Last Jedi, especially in theaters. And between the two, and I'm sure we'll go into rankings a little bit later, The Last Jedi is a better film between the two of them.
But this one's more fun.
It's more fun. Like
it did exactly what the original trilogy did too, where 5 is the better film, but 6 is more.
Yeah, and there's the payoffs in this one and stuff. But I think between the two, that
which they did not mention,
history will judge Episode 8 as being the pinnacle film, despite all of the animosity people have had about it. Over 5, I say yes, but that opinion is way revolved.
I could go either way on that.
I think 8 is a masterwork. It is so good, and 8 is what allows 9 to exist. And if you take it from that perspective, I think 20 years from now, people will want to go back and watch 8.
Oh, I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think I've watched Empire Strikes Back many more times Return of the Jedi. However, I always have fonder feelings towards Return of the Jedi, even though I'm like, I don't know if I like it better. It's just a better movie is Empire Strikes Back. And I think we're going to see the same with Last Jedi into Rise of Skywalker.
I just love The Force Awakens.
And Katie will always
happy.
be, yes.
Well, that was your first. You know, your first.
Well, and it's just a feel-good, happy movie, and everyone's just having fun.
One thing this movie did very well, though, is everything now makes sense.
Absolutely.
Really, like you can see that JJ had choices that he made in Force Awakens that was leading to this, and that Rian Johnson did the same thing that were used in this movie as well, and really, I think, empowered this movie to happen, as you've mentioned before. And then they also did a wonderful job of connecting to older things as well.
Something Cameron and I were talking about is that JJ didn't necessarily retcon The Last Jedi, but he did some mental gymnastics.
He did some manipulation.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
The only time it really felt forced was Kylo Ren's monologue about her parents.
Yeah.
We were like, we see you pulling the strings, Abram. Like,
yeah. It was also very funny how he kept being like, he would tell her something and then be like, I need to see you in person. And then she was like, nah. And then he'd be like, I'm going to tell you a little bit more. I want to see you in person, though.
Do you think part of that was because that was the rushed part also? Because that was towards the beginning where I felt like things were moving really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole first third, I think they tried to fit another movie in. Like, overall, it's one of the worst paced Star Wars films.
Well, and it's also
really is
Carrie Fisher footage that they had.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, he was definitely working around some hurdles that caused that sort of thing. But
which is an amazing movie for what he went in with.
I was gonna say, because thinking about it that way, they kind of were Frankensteining the first third of the movie, because they're like, well, here's the Carrie Fisher footage we have.
How do we build a story?
How do we make it work in the context of where the story is
really
going?
She's not in the film that much. So that makes it even harder.
She's not.
No. And the one shot I caught, other than the ones that you definitely know were pulled from Episode 8, The one shot I caught that I think was different, and I wonder if the special features later will confirm this, the shot of her and her daughter walking away,
Oh,
I
that-
think was an accidental capture they ended up using.
I think so, too.
Dude.
Yeah.
I
'cause
totally
That was the
think
only
so.
one that felt natural, like out of and you were like, that's real.
Wait
That
a
hurt
minute.
bad.
Yeah.
That hurt.
That was beautiful.
Oh. I also
right.
loved her daughter with the Leia hairstyles.
She's grown on me. I at first did not have
Yeah.
an interest in her being in the films, but by this film I was like, no, it's the right choice.
She's a good addition to the series. All right, so as we wrap this up, how would you rate this film?
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up?
Yeah.
I would give it 2 thumbs up too. Definitely go and see it if you haven't. I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't.
you make it this far?
So, how did you make it this far? But if you'd like to see more of this, make sure to tune in on Tuesday nights at 9:30 when we have Geeks Corner on this YouTube channel.
Will be more spoil reserved for
Yeah.
at
Always.
least this next week.
Yes, and make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also go to dapsmagic.com and subscribe there so you don't miss any of our coverage. But thank you for watching tonight. We are going to say goodnight because it's almost 1 in the morning now, and I have to be at Disneyland in 6 hours. So
Suffering. So much
suffering for the cause, yes. I'll probably be there and back in bed within an hour or two. But anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this review with spoilers of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, the final Skywalker saga.
Final Frontier.
Yes. All right, but we will say goodnight, and we'll see you in the parks.
Also, Lin-Manuel